Okay, so you're supposed to build this one, and we give it the name LST data, and set these. Then we want to put this code in there, as we said, and then when you run it, you should get something like this, right? You're going from, for I as integer, from 0 to 10, step 1. So when first you put in 0, you assign my string, I'm item 0 in the list, and you add that to the list box. This is the way you add it to the list box. Now it's already added to the list box. Then it goes to here next, so it goes back up here again. He says it tests, is I less than 10 yet? Or you could just say I is now equal to 1, and it keeps going. And does the same thing, says I'm item 1, and adds that to the list box, and then gets to the next, so it goes back up here. He says it tests to see if I is equal to 2, or it just makes I equal to 2. It keeps going until I becomes 10. Now, I guess when you say until I gets 10, it becomes 10, that's kind of a condition. So that's why he says there's an implicit condition here. But anyway, okay. So here, during each loop cycle, each iteration, we add a string message to our loop, to our list. The items are contained in the lstdata.items collection, which is part of our list box. We haven't discussed what's meant by a collection, but anyway, they're contained in our list box. Function listbox add listbox.items.add. This function add adds each item to the end of the list. Note 1, the list box items are displayed top to bottom at runtime. So they're displayed when you run it. And 2, if we wish, we can also add items to our list manually using the properties window. Items properties, see below. Okay. You can't see below, but okay. Now what's the difference between what we just did there and the do loop? So suppose we wanted to do something similar to a list box using the do loop. How would we do that? So how could we do that? So we want to use a do while and loop down here. Just like we had my string up there, we want to do my string again. We have exactly the same statement here with I. We start out with I equals 1, so it's going to put a 1 in there first. This one actually started with I equals 0, so a little different, but I could start with I equals 0. Okay, dim I as integer up here, but we do that up here, whereas here, you do it here. Right, so here I had to make explicitly say, create an integer with the dim statement and set it equal to something. And I'm just testing that here. Here, as I said, it's sort of all done for us, right? We go from 1 to 2 to 3, but here we're just testing a condition, so we have to end up incrementing inside the loop. Otherwise, what would happen? If you never had this, well, let's keep going. So I equals 0. So is I less than 4? Yes. So we do this statement, right? And then so that assigns a value to my string, and then we add my string to our list box. Okay, and then we increment I, and now I was started with 0. Now I becomes 1, still less than 4. We do the same thing. Then I now we increment I to 1 more, so it's 2, still less than 4. So we do the same thing again. Now I equals 3, still less than 4. So we do this again. Now I becomes 4, and then what happens? This condition is not true finally. So we don't do it again. Okay, so then we just, I forgot to say there's a loop statement here, which is telling us to do it again, do it again, do it again. But finally, when this is not true, we go outside the loop statement. We don't run this again. Okay, By the way, what would happen if I forgot to put this in there? Like this. So as long as I is less than 4, keep repeating it. So if I starts out as 0, I is always 0 because I'm not incrementing I at all. So what's going to happen? This is just going to keep going on forever. Okay, then if you do that, I think you can hit the escape button or something like that to get it to stop, but obviously you don't want that to happen. That's called an infinite loop. Okay, so we have this. So let's try this as the second button. So we had the for loop, and now I'll try the while loop. So here it is, from 0 to 3, right? When it gets to 4, it wasn't less than 4. So 4 is not less than 4. Right? When I becomes 4, it doesn't go through this anymore. It tests this. As long as it meets this condition, it goes through here. If it doesn't meet this condition, it jumps outside to after this loop statement, like down to the next line. Okay, so this is the do while loop as compared to the for loop.